Alistair Urquhart, this guy called The Forgotten Highlander. This is probably one of my favorite books. So this dude was 18 years old and got conscripted in World War II. He was Scottish regiment, gets sent to Singapore. Then Japan joined the war. The Japanese just invade fucking everywhere, take everything that they can, including him. So this guy is made to forced march for weeks with nothing, a loincloth, bloody feet, being cut up by surroundings. He has every tropical disease under the sun for 5 years straight. Dysentery and malaria and yellow fever and full works. He's part of the forced labor group that's made to build the bridge over the River Kwai. One of the prison guards tries to sexually assault him. So he kicks him in the nuts and runs away and hides. But there's not much, like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to run to? You can't survive without the meager amounts of rice that they're giving you. So they find him and lock him in an open tin box to bake in the sun. 3 days, doesn't die. Okay, well, this guy's sufficiently resilient. We can probably use him. If he's this resilient to survive this, he'd probably be a good worker, so let's keep him. So they then pull him out. They need to transport all of these prisoners. So they put them on what they called a hell ship. And these hell ships were just huge tin boxes with no Swiss cross on the side, which is what you should have to say that you're transporting prisoners of war, so that it's not a military vehicle. And they would just toss tiny morsels of food down to 100 men that were in the hold of this ship. And it was baking hot in the midday sun as they're traveling over the water. It still doesn't die. They're stood in their own feces. People are dying left and right, starting to decompose. Because they didn't put the Swiss cross on the side, a US military boat or a submarine sent a torpedo at. So his boat that he's on explodes. He then catches a piece of flotsam or jetsam or detritus, like a little bucket that he can sit in so that he can float around. Basically has a fight with another Japanese guy who's also doing the same thing. Finally washes up on shore. He's free, briefly, but he's in Japanese territory. I can't remember what country he washes up on, maybe Singapore again. He then gets recaptured, put back to work again, and gets knocked off his feet by the bomb blast from Nagasaki. He gets hit by the bomb blast and knocked off his feet by it. 50 years. This guy doesn't talk about it at all. Doesn't say a peep. 50 years by orders of the British government. And then finally writes this memoir as a call to arms to bring the Japanese to account for the atrocities. This is unforgivable because of what he went through. For the rest of his life, he could only eat tiny amounts of rice. His stomach, his whole digestive system was ruined by extended starvation for this 5-year period and very tiny morsels of food. So his stomach had adapted to that. And that was this guy. And he died in the early 2000s and then wrote this book, The Forgotten Highlander.